Our lives are laid out on a road of bumps, turns, struggles, and more. How do we respond? How do we endure adversity for learning and growth? I'm Aubrey Johnson, and we'll explore these questions and more on the Road to Rediscovery. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special solo episode of the Road to Rediscovery. I'm your host, Aubrey Johnson. The Road to Rediscovery is about reflecting on life lessons to learn and grow from them, and of course, pay it forward and help uplift others who are struggling through dark times. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to preface this episode with a brief church reference. This will help set a little bit of context and foundation on today's topic, if you don't mind. Now, from my understanding, God has blessed us with something called free will. I'm not a pastor, nor do I claim to be, but again, from my understanding, the Lord loves us so much and wants us to be close to Him, to live in obedience and to have faith in Him. Again, this is only my interpretation, but I believe He wants us to choose to walk with Him. And in the brokenness of this world, there will be times when we will certainly succumb to this physical realm and give in to sin and drift from God. None of us are perfect. We all fall short. But with the free will that God has given us, we can choose to repent, ask for forgiveness, draw closer, and continue our walk with God. I believe this free will is a form of power that God gives us to exercise in this physical realm. With this same power, we can choose to walk with God. We can choose where we want to live, what we drive, what career to pursue, and a lot more. From a mental or psychological state, though, I feel we also have the power to choose how we respond to things. How do we usually respond when someone gives us a compliment? Well, typically we smile and humbly and say thank you. When someone tells us that their dog died, we usually, appear a bit melancholy. We feel their pain and we say a heartfelt, "I'm sorry." As you know, the power to respond isn't just limited to verbally. We also have the power to respond with a feeling. Of course, depending on the feeling, we also have the power to evolve that feeling into a verbal response. We have that power to make that feeling influence us in the following hours, days, weeks, months, and even years. Now, another word and concept that is closely associated with power is the word energy. God has blessed us with this as well. Energy and movement, caring, putting forth effort, all of that takes energy. Just like a common battery, right? Positive power can yield positive energy. And of course, negative power can yield negative energy. Our power to respond to something good or bad can be positive or negative. Either way, precious energy is spent. As we age, one of the most common lessons we learn is that our time on this earth is very short. Therefore, we become increasingly careful in how we spend our time and energy. We have the power to stop and consider what is worth our time and what is worth our energy. In other words, we become more protective in where we spend our time and energy based on whatever the circumstances are that we're going through and what we feel is actually worth our time and energy. With that said, I wanted to share three specific reasons why you must protect your power. Number one, your power is your peace. This is also referred to as your power brings you peace. Let's say just about everything is going very smooth in your life, and without notice, someone enters your life in a very abrupt, unwelcomed way, creating a wake of chaos. It can be anything. Someone taking your kindness for granted, or someone who always takes and never gives to the relationship. They don't contribute, or someone who just brings inconvenience to you in your time whenever they're around. Each of these are examples of having your peace disrupted. Use your power to reclaim your peace. Set those boundaries with that individual and remain vigilant in protecting those boundaries. Think of it this way. Your boundaries are a moat, right? Within the moat is your home. When we say your home, it's synonymous with your sanity, your peace. This is where everything makes sense. Sure, each day isn't perfect there, but the better you manage your boundaries, the better you protect your inner peace. Okay, number 2, others covet your power. This may not make much sense, but when others are out to ridicule or mock you, or make you feel inferior in some way, they're doing so to make themselves feel better, to raise themselves up. Here's a way of thinking about it. Your confidence and self-esteem is a form of power. When someone seeks to make you feel bad about yourself to the point of losing your confidence and self-esteem, they're actually trying to sap power from you to uplift themselves. These types are referred to as power suckers and reminds me of what my mother used to say in the simplest of terms when I was 5, coming home from school and telling her about my classmates who teased me. She would simply say, they're just jealous. So yes, this applies to adults as well. There's just a deeper rooted cause in their suffering that we don't see. And quite frankly, I don't care what that deeper rooted cause is. I don't need to see that. I just need to see that they're trying to covet my power, and I can do what I can to protect it. And number 3, silent strength rises to the top. Let me repeat that. Silent strength rises to the top. I'm going to give you a scenario. Imagine this. You're eating in a crowded restaurant for dinner, when across the room you see a man with a party of 4 causing a scene, raising his voice to the host, arms flailing, complaining about not yet having been seated. The host is professional, calm, quietly listens, checks his reservation book, talks with the manager, apologizes to the man, and guides him and his party to their seats. Oh yeah, and offers free dessert following their meal for their inconvenience. In this scenario, who do you think had the power? Do you think it was the loud, irrational man with his party, raising his voice, asserting himself, and puffing out his chest when he finally got what he wanted? In my opinion, not hardly. How about the host? Do you think it was easy for the host to maintain his composure? Would it have been easier for the host to become equally unhinged? If so, who would have, quote, won in this conflict? Would anything have been resolved if the host became equally unhinged? In this scenario, the host clearly had the power. The host was way beyond the impact of the yelling and insults by the customer. It wasn't easy, but over time, he has mastered the ability to remain calm, keep a clear head, and control the situation. He refused to respond in an impulsive, retaliatory way, therefore protecting and keeping his power. As the old saying goes, cooler heads prevail. People who practice this silent strength rise higher and higher with every conflicting situation they encounter. Think about that. I'm going to repeat this. People who practice this silent strength rise higher and higher with every conflicting situation they encounter. This is their power, the ability to restrain from spending energy that is not only unproductive, but if used, can be the cause of a detriment to them. In this case, like the host losing his job. So let's do a quick recap. 3 reasons to protect your power. Number 1, your power is your peace. Number 2, others covet your power. Yes, that's true. They really want it. And number 3, silent strength rises to the top. Cooler heads prevail. There you have it, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, we want all of our listeners to know that when dealing with life's struggles, you're never alone, and there's always hope. I humbly ask that you please share this show with someone who needs inspiration and support. We're all roadies on this journey of life, and it sure feels good having you on the road with me. And always remember, a calm mind beats a sharp tongue every time. Thanks again for listening. We'll chat again soon. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of The Road to Rediscovery. We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email at roadtorediscoverypodcast@gmail.com and leave us any questions or comments you may have. The Road to Rediscovery is an AJ Shark production.